So we are recording. So, just say your name and what grade you teach.
My name is Jordan Hall, and I teach grade 6.
Okay. And what would you say to encourage a first-year teacher?
I would say that I did a admin kind of in a Zoom call when I was in university, and an admin told me in that Zoom call a piece of advice that I've always held on to, which is have the next day ready. And if you can't get farther than the next day in your first year, it's okay. Like, I find myself in my 3rd year right now, being the first year that I'm like, oh, okay, I actually can plan a little bit ahead, or, oh, I'm not scrambling every single night and every single morning. It's like, cut yourself some slack, that first year, you can just have the next day ready, and then grind after school, do the next day. Because I think what happens is that you try to long range and you're taught unit plans, and you're coming out of 4th year where you're like, I can see the whole picture, but you realize when you get in the classroom that it's so many little things that you're not ready for, and then that you'll have to just take as they come. So be ready for the next day. Try to just be open and willing to take the punches that come at you, so that you can just handle the little things, and then one step at a time, one day at a time.
Okay. And what is the most important piece of advice you would give to a new teacher?
I would say everything else in university you are kind of learning to do on paper. You can do with a group. And when you do it in university, it's like this perfect class. It's gonna ask all the questions and have everything turned in on time. But I would say what you can't do in school, apart from your practicum, is figure out how you're going to connect with the students. And so to me, finding the one-on-one connections with them was the hugest thing that made all the difference for me. I participate in gym with them every time, and I can't describe how that skyrockets my relationships with them. It's incredible. They are all of a sudden oh my god, you're so fun, that was so awesome, you're playing? I'll be on the playground, they're like, what are you doing on the playground? And then it's a trust, but they also still feel that I'm in charge, but they have a trust, they have a comfortability really early in the year that I would highly recommend. Whether it's participating in gym or not, play a game with them. It's really easy if you have 15 minutes of just, go free time to crunch for the next day, but try to be present. Go play checkers with them. Do those things with them, and then they're like, wow, that was so cool. That's so cool. My teacher's playing with me. It goes really far.
And how did you survive your first year of teaching?
The first thing that popped into my head is during lunch, because I started here at Beacon, and I would shut the door and turn the lights off and just sit there for a bit and eat my lunch and just get ready for them to come back in. And later that year, I realized I don't want to do that. I want to come down here and I want to visit with the staff, because then when I go back up, I was fueled by the conversation and the other adults in the building that I hadn't seen all day. And it was okay, I need to come down here, take a break, be with people, have conversations, and then go back up and do it. And then I was yeah, I gotta do that every single time, and then I'd be exhausted and I wasn't ready. So it's what I would say is I survived by doing what I needed in the moment. And if that means, I'm just gonna go down and have a snack and talk with my fellow teachers, that helped. Otherwise it was, you know what, I need to just shut the door, go in the bathroom, just sit there for a bit. And I did, and you just it's that one day at a time thing. Do what you need in the moment. I don't think if you set yourself such a rigid structure, I think that's where people are so hard on themselves, and then they fall through, they burn out because they feel I haven't upheld the standard that I thought I was going to do, and that's okay, because you're going to get there. It's just do what you need to do, listen to what your body needs and what your brain needs, for sure.
Awesome. And what are some tools that you used in your first year?
Any tools?
Yeah,
or
any and anything.
Tools?
Yeah.
I would say, Like some online type of educational games. So like Bottle. Have you heard of Bottle? It's like a LA Math program, and it's free. You make an account and then you type in all your kids' names, and they actually have an Alberta like standard their curriculum thing you can check. All the curriculum comes up. Let's say you click factors and multiples, click, how many questions do you want, you assign it. So I guess the tool would be anything that allows you to be like, okay, there's something on Bottle, go log in, plug in to your headphones, and just spend the next half an hour practicing the skill. If you have questions, come and ask me, but just like create some time for yourself to not be speaking from 8 till 3. It's like, figure out how are you going to make it so that they are working harder than you, you know? And at the end of the day, it's not necessarily true because you're working your butt off, but they should be working just as hard as you, right? Sometimes they're kind of like sitting there waiting, you hand them something and they do it, and then they're waiting. It's kind of like they're little leeches. But if you are like, okay, you're responsible for this, you're going to do this. If you need me, I'll be over here. It's just like cutting yourself, again, some slack to not be constantly like, you need to do this and then this and then this and then this.
Okay. And so within like your first year, what was like the hardest part of it? Was it the beginning, the middle, the end, or preparation even before?
No, I love the prep.
Okay.
Because you're the only one in the school and you're like, oh, this is gonna be great. You're like color coding everything. That part's great because then that's still like what you're learning in school. That's still the like, oh yeah, okay, I'm gonna do this and then I'm gonna do this unit, and you're kind of getting your classroom ready, and that's so exciting. And then I would say the beginning's harder than the end because you don't know the kids in the beginning. So by the time you build the relationships, that makes everything a lot easier to handle and to like punches to pass. And so I would say beginning is definitely the hardest because you're battling with, you're in charge and I want them to like me so bad because you just are like, oh, okay, I've wanted to do this for so long and I want this to be a good year. I don't want them to hate me. I want to be the fun teacher, and I want to be the great teacher that they remember. And so you have to find the balance between, will they still like me or am I doing my job? And you find it. And what I found in my first year is that kids like boundaries and they do like that structure, as long as you're not, you know, being a jerk about it. Like, they really do thrive in those constraints. And even if they push back, you're like, oh, they're gonna hate me, but they do thrive in a little bit more structure. So yeah, did I answer the question?
Yeah,
Okay,
that's great.
Okay, cool.
And was your first year of teaching your hardest year?
This is the first year that I felt like, I mean, I've only done 3, but September, October this year, I'm like, okay, it does get gradually easier. You do have things you can I've taught grade 6. This is my second year in 6. My first year was grade 5. And so that year was like first year, different curriculum. And then I kind of did the same thing again in my second year because I switched to grade 6. So now that I'm repeating a year and I have 2 years of experience, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm actually not using my whole weekend. And just the brain power that doesn't need to go into something like, oh, I'll reuse this activity. It just goes so far rather than saying, okay, I need to create a new whatever. It's just that reusing. So it is the hardest one, for sure. Different challenges in different ways, right? Like this year I'm finding new challenges that I didn't have in my first year because I had a different group of kids. Like the challenges do vary. But yeah, it's the hardest one.
Okay, and this is the last question. What were your biggest challenges in your first year of teaching?
I would say that battle between I'm the boss and I want you to like me was hard because you're like, okay, where am I going to draw the line? How am I going to do it? Right? I've heard a million of veteran teachers say to me, it's so much easier to let slack go than to try to rein them all back in. So it's just like holding it tight, like, nope, these are my expectations. And then gradually, as they trust you, you have a relationship, you can let things go because you know they're going to perform within your expectations. Wait time, when you get observed in your first couple of years for contracts or for permanent certificates or whatever, every observer I've ever had has said, do the wait time. So you ask a question, and someone's watching you and you really want to just ask the first kid that raises their hand, they don't need to answer it. The other kids who are like, what did she even ask? I don't know. Give them that space after you ask the question and wait. And it's painful, but you have to wait and wait. And then gradually hands will go up. You'll be like 2 people, 3 people, okay? And then gradually you'll get them. And then all of a sudden your focus is like zoom, and then they're with you. Because sometimes there's those kids who are like, oh, I know he's going to answer, so I'm just not even going to listen. They zone out completely. And so that for sure, just the wait. Just be patient. You want to like hammer through curriculum, like we gotta get this on, we got a test on Friday, but just I think match your kids and their timing and just wait for them to ask the question. And then I wouldn't do that, and so then I'd be like, why don't you guys know this? Like, what the hell? And then yeah, they get there. At the right
Okay.
time.
Yeah, I haven't heard that one before, so
Mhm.
that's interesting.
Yeah, every observer will be like, every UF will be like, wait, you have to wait.
Okay. That is also, and